Hello, yo. Another YouTube video. Some knowledge from the dome. I tried making this one last night, but I low-key deleted it by accident. I thought it saved to my computer, and it did not. But hey, maybe it's for the better. I was low-key rambling all over the place. I want to explain my journey a little bit. I'm going to make this like part one. I'm going to make a whole series of this. Hopefully I can get 5 of these out before I go, and I'll explain that maybe in part 2 or part 3 of my journey. So, part 1, explaining the beginning, I guess. You know, when I kind of like realized, oh my god, wait, I'm a human being. I can have my own independence. I can do shit. And this kind of happened beginning of high school, when I kind of came to the realization that I could do shit, you know? And the shit that I started doing, well, with all the influences around me, through music, through celebrities, and all that shit, they were, for the most part, negative influences, in my opinion. And I was listening to people saying, like, well, not people, but I was watching and listening to stuff like substances, you know, actions. I was like, oh, I'm gonna recreate that. And I would say, for the most part in my life, I would try to be the villain, you know, of my story, because I thought it was cool, because I thought I liked the feeling of having power or control, when in reality that was really negative, and I would surround myself with these really negative things, which would only lower me even further, spiraling me downwards. And you know, I've tried to stop letting my past influence my future, influence my present moment. But I still do have some connections to it where it's like holding me back. And by no means am I the perfect person. By no means am I someone that I believe you guys should all look up to just yet. I'm trying to be someone that you can look up to. I'm trying to be someone who's more of a teacher. But I'm still a student of life, just like all of you. I can only teach you my experiences, because I've gone through a good bit of experiences that were not so positive. You know, I can tell you what to stay away from. But these people that I would surround myself, these things that I would surround myself with, would only take my energy from me, take my frequency, lower it, and only send me into a further downward spiral. Until eventually I started to become disillusioned with reality, in a sense. I would no longer have care for what would happen in this physical world. And, I mean, you shouldn't care out of fear, but you should care out of love. You know, if any of you ever watched the movie A Bronx Tale, Calogero, I believe was it? I don't fucking know. C would say, is it better, or he asked a question, is it better to be feared or loved? For a while, I tried to be feared. And I think I succeeded for a little bit of time. But those connections that you make with people are fake. I've seen people choose materialistic things over me. I wouldn't say fame, but their pride, their clout over me. And I would do the same to others. You know, trying to elevate my status, in a sense. But it is truly better to be loved, because that's where you make real connection. And I've been loved as well, where people care for me and I care for them. That's where true bond and connection comes from. And I'm still trying to be loved more. You know, I'm still trying to love myself too. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do. But it's a process like anything else. You know, you just gotta continue to do it. And, alright, back to my journey. I'm sorry. I do this in a lot of videos where my thoughts are kind of all over. But I became so invested in this world and materialistic things, like my car, like my vanity, you know, were consumed me, and it made me kind of like care less about myself, care less about the universe, care less about God. You know, I really disconnected myself with God. I didn't have that connection. I was confused. I would jump from idea to idea, which I'm thankful of now, because I was able to learn about all these different religions, which helped me grow my own idea. But it was a rough period of time, and I'm hoping that I can, through my process of explaining my journey, I can help you guys stay away from that, you know? Now this video, it's just like, I'm kind of giving you a brief overview of my journey. And in other videos, I think I'm gonna go more into depth on them, even though, like, oh, I don't want to, because it's like I don't like thinking about my past, thinking about my actions. I'm disappointed with them. But recently my perspective has changed, you know. I am disappointed with my actions, but without them, I would not have learned. You know. And now that I've gone through them, I can go to you guys and I can tell them and kind of like have my story be a cautionary tale, you know. Even though it all happened over a short period of time and I am still very young, I still have a lot of time to grow and develop. But I have a lot of paranoia. I deal with a lot of paranoia, fear, you know, and these kind of like come out in these like manic episodes almost sometimes, where people are like, oh, you're crazy. But it's like, I'm the only one who has the balls to tell the truth. You guys are all like disillusioned and you're okay with it. Like, I've seen so many adults just, well, two things with adults, but just stuck in these jobs that they don't like, or stuck in these lives that they don't like, disillusioned with the thought of, with the fear of change. Change hurts. It hurts. Like, the past 2 weeks have been a ringer for me. Like, information's gone out, leading me to do some actions even that I don't like necessarily want to align myself with, but I still did them, and now I have to deal with the consequence of them. But secondly, I've seen adults also just act immature as fuck, act like children, you know, all over the world too. This isn't specific to one area or one group of people. And I've seen children or people my age act extremely mature, like adults. And it's like, it doesn't make sense, you know? A lot of people are kind of this like caveman mindset where they act out of emotion, you know, they're irrational, they're impulsive. They don't think when they do things. And I sure as hell have done that before too. I've been there. But a lot of people don't really think about shit before they do it, and they don't think at all, really. I know so many people who just don't think. They're just living, walking, doing this cycle over and over and over and over again without adding change to it, you know? I wish that everyone would come to the realization that we each have a power, we each have a little piece of God in us. We are qualitatively the same as God, but quantitatively different. We're much smaller, obviously. We're a little water droplet in an ocean, okay? And we're just, we're not in the ocean anymore. We're, in Buddhist theory, we're just this water droplet that's come out of the ocean. You know, we go up, and then we come down, and then we come back. We come back to the ocean. But we're kind of tainted. We're kind of dirty. Our souls are, there's dirt in them, you know? God will not allow us to have that dirt, have the other shit in us, and make the rest of his kingdom, the rest of his water dirty too. Because we need to be purified. We need to be boiled. We need to go through hell. And that's uncomfortable. That's the test of life. I could talk about reincarnation, my thoughts on that, but that might be a different video. I've lived my life trying to be the villain for so long. And I've finally come to the realization that I no longer want to be that villain. I want to be who I am, who I've always been. And that's the good guy. And each and every one of us is the good guy at heart. But we're so caught up in this world of materialism and this bullshit that we try to be the villain because it's so hype. It's so hyped. It's so easy. It's so prevalent. And it's everywhere, I don't think that there's enough people out there who are trying to hype up being the good guy, Because we think that we have the good guys out there, We have our heroes, like the troops, God bless our troops. But the thing is, we don't have anyone in this world, I feel like, who is out there trying to... No, we do. We have a lot of these people, actually. But it's not mainstream enough where we have these masses who are coming to the understanding of, like, oh my God, wait, like, we can return to God in this life cycle, which I'll go more into detail in a different episode. We can go to God in this life cycle, like, we can end this shit. There's not really much else to talk about in this, I kind of told you the brief overview of my life and how I've gotten to this point. Now I kind of just need to tell you all the details, the specifics. There's going to be a lot of videos going into that because I tell stories, I guess. I need to think more about them. I need to pray on them. Understand the stories that I think would be appropriate to tell, the lessons that I've learned, and kind of maybe write them down. Writing stuff down, by the way, guys, writing your ideas down is very good. Like, I love journaling, stuff like this. Getting my thoughts out there, letting my mind just, like, go loose. It's very nice. And even though I can have some crazy thoughts, when I write them down and I get them out, and I look at them, I'm like, okay, wait. And I look at them after a little bit of time. I realize, okay, I can breathe. And then my mindset changes, my perspective changes. I think I should make a video on perspective. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Alright, though, y'all. That's my journey, part 1. Stay tuned for the rest of this series. I don't know what else I'll really... No, I do know what I'll talk about. But you gotta stay tuned for that. Peace.